guys, it's the time for Neo Geo time. Let's go. Welcome to the Wicked Gamer and Collector. It's awesome that you're tuning in. So in this video I want to dedicate it to the Playminimal Neo Geo Arcade Collectible Arcade Machines. And this is not to be compared with Numbskull and the Arcade 1-Up because it's more like between those systems. Okay, so maybe you're familiar with Neo Geo because Neo Geo have released so many systems and also just the game collections on systems like PlayStation 2. But with these things, it's just next level. If you want to have something more like an arcade feeling, but you don't want to spend a lot of money, or you maybe, like me, I don't have the room for a real size arcade machine, maybe these collectibles can be a fun item to have in your collection and just enjoy some Neo Geo games. But the reason I wanted to make a review of both systems is very simple. Both of them are completely different. This version has been made out of wood and this one out of plastic. Because this thing is completely 3D printed. Okay guys, so let's take a close look at the first cabinet, the MVS model. I personally really love this model for what it is and also for different reasons. I love the shape and also the original cabinet was pretty cool. But this mini arcade cabinet is looking very nice. And if you're looking at the device, how it looks and how the display is and what position it is, I think this is a really nice, comfortable mini arcade machine. It comes built-in, very nice, original aspect ratio, IPS display, and as you can see it looks very crisp and very clear. Something that I really can appreciate with the cabinet. And yeah guys, so I know the Chinese are making a lot of these arcade machines with a widescreen and I'm happy that Playminimal choose for just an original 4:3 aspect ratio, because this is the way how you need to play the games. I think he did a really nice job with the marquee itself. And it also has a light up feature, but when you're going to put on the light up, yeah, I will show you what I mean, why I don't like it. It's not really bad, but when you're a purist when it comes to marquees, this is not like it should be. But when you take a close look at the light up feature, I think they did not do a very nice job. So in my opinion, it's more like, I do like that it has a light up feature, but you can see that the LED strip is over here and it doesn't light up the full picture. And even over here you can see there is a brand of a decal on it from the paper that he is using. And not even to start about the back bleeding, which you can see over here on the edges. I think that the idea behind it is pretty cool, but he needs to improve this part of the marquee. So in overall, I'm always turning off the LED because, yeah, to be honest, I think this is not the way how you need to present your cabinet in your collection. It's also very cool that you can see that it has the original red colored side panels. Yeah, the sticker, I think this is more like a hit or miss if you ask me. It's cool to have the original decals on it, but you can see there is just basically a sticker put on it. It looks like a kind of a protection, but this is just a full sticker. So I would rather see more like that the stickers are just separate on the cabinet. That gives more like a high quality effect. And the same goes for the decal on this from SNK. But what I think is pretty cool that we're having this collectible item that we can even use in a mini arcade mode. And what I mean with arcade mode is that we can use the original coin mechanism at the front. I configured it to 50 euro cents. When you're putting it in, it will give a credit to the system. So we can boot up the game and we can play some Neo Geo. What I think, what is the finishing touch beside the coin mechanism is that when you're having an arcade collectible, you need to have the original configuration. As you can see over here, we're having all the buttons on the original position, the colors, start button, some extra buttons, especially for when you want to put in a coin. As you can see over here, pretty cool. So if you don't want to use the coin, you can use it like this. And of course, we're having a real arcade joystick. And over here, we're going to get 2x 5 watt speakers. And I can say, maybe you can read it already, but these things are very loud. You can of course adjust the volume with the Pandora's box or with the buttons at the back. But let's take a close look at that. At the bottom we can find a couple of buttons for putting the display on and off. But especially when you want to navigate through the menu, you want to adjust the brightness, the volume and all those kinds of things, you can do it over here. Alright, so let's take a close look at the back. And what I think is pretty cool, and that makes the thing even to the next level, is that we're going to get, I say it a lot, next level, yeah. We have a lot of power levels like the Dragon Ball Z. What we're going to get is here we're having the hatch that we can open it up, and we're also going to get including some keys with this awesome Space Invaders decal. Nevertheless, we can open it up out of detail. You even have his custom Playminimal decal at the back. So cool. And here you can see where I can insert the device itself, where we can see already the Pandora box that I made and built inside. And we're having here an extra controller. Okay, so the controller itself, I did use a short converter. So I can use the connector here at the back where we can find and plug in the second controller. So basically you can play together with your buddy. Okay, so on the inside we're going to get the Pandora's box. The original cabinet came with an orange pie, and thus, to be honest, I'm not a big fan of it. The Pandora box is so much easier to install. You just have the cable tree that goes to your control panel. Everything works on 12 volt the monitor and including the Pandora box, so there is minor soldering needed. So basically what we're going to get is one power supply that needs to be in, let's say, a 4 amp or so, and that is on. It's just more than enough. We're having here the on and off switch. You can just use a jumper in it, so I just use it like this. But what I like about it, it's maintenance free, and what I mean with this is that you don't have any problems whatsoever. You can just shut it down if you want to quit playing, and you can turn it on very easily. You don't need to use the safe shutdown that we're going to get with these Orange Pi or Raspberry Pi systems. Alright, so this was everything about this cabinet. Before we're going to do a gameplay, I just wanted to do a quick overview of the original cabinet. So I asked my buddy Retro Ralph from the YouTube channel, he has, to make a short video for you guys because he is the owner of the original Neo Geo cabinet. So Ralphie, show him what you got.
Hey Wicked, thanks for having me on the show. So I heard today you're talking about Neo Geo, and I just actually picked up this Neo Geo full-size cabinet. Now Neo Geo is pretty unique because it was one of those arcade cabinets where if I was the arcade owner, I could have 4 choices because this one was actually a 4-in-1 cabinet. So I could have 4 separate games in one cabinet, and then if for some reason the patrons coming to that arcade got sick of those titles, I could actually replace them with titles that would actually make me as the arcade owner more money. So really, really cool that this was sort of a system that sort of you could breathe new life in as you like rotated the titles through, which is pretty damn cool. The other thing that's cool, if you're gonna pick up an arcade cabinet like this, you know, obviously the best way to play these old classic games are with a CRT. So even though I've got a million ways to play Neo Geo, I still had to own the original. And then obviously you get things like the original button layout, but on this particular machine, someone decided to paint over the red sides with black. So I'm gonna wanna restore that to its original form. And there's a couple things I had to work on too. Like the light up marquee is broken and there's a couple other things as well. But there's just something awesome about owning original equipment. And I know it's not for everyone because it takes up space, time, and money, but man, it's just, I'm so glad to have this in my collection. So thanks Wicked for letting me on the show, and I'm sending it back to you.
Oh yeah, come on! Oh, hey guys, you're already back from Ralph. Hey, it's awesome that you're still tuned in. So, I was just playing on my mini cabinet. Let's take a close look at the other version. Man, this game is really hard. I knew you were going to jump. Okay, so let's do a quick overview of this cabinet, the Candy Cap. I already mentioned with this version, I think it's pretty cool because this thing is fully 3D printed. The only downside I can think of is that it doesn't have the same weight when it comes to the MVS version, because that one was made fully out of wood, but it never doesn't feel like a cheap device at all. So it has more like the same specifications when it comes to the display and the lighter feature, but let's do a quick overview. In general, I think he did an amazing job with the lighter feature when it comes to the decals over here. I really like it, they are very high detailed and I can really appreciate something like that. What I don't like, and that is something more like a combination of the problem with the 3D printed. Yeah, as you can see over here we're having a space that, oh man, there's a little bit of back bleeding. A little bit of a bummer. It also includes the 2x 5 watt speakers, in total 10 watts. And yeah, these things sound just amazing. There is no bass, just mostly mid and high, but they sound amazing. Over here we're going to get the 10-inch IPS display. It's basically the same display they're using in the MVS and I'm very pleased with it. And it looks just amazing in my opinion. So when you take a close look at the control panel, it's similar like the Candy Cap, the original Candy Cap. I did see some pictures and I think it's pretty cool. It's also going to get including some extra keys, simply because we can open up the back like the other version. This thing has a bell top. The joysticks are more similar like Sanwa clones. I wish I could basically remove them and put some real Sanwa joystick in them. The buttons, they're really nice. They're quite some long travel, more like clickish buttons, but I like it. So the same thing is with the buttons over here. This one have one button less because we're having here play 1, this is the start button, and we're having here the one for the credits. When you take a close look at the different models, you can also see a different coin operating mechanism. And this is just the Chinese basic version, completely made out of plastic so far I know. And what you can see over here, this is the TW131. And also with this version, we're going to get some spare keys where we can open up the hatch. And I did the same configuration when it comes to this version too. We're having one USB connection where we connect the external controller. Keep in mind that not all Pandora boxes have this option to add a second controller. So basically what you can do is buy yourself a Playminimal kit and where you're going to reconfigure everything yourself. Or yeah, I just bought the one with the orange pie, but again, like the previous model, didn't like it, so I ripped it apart and just stick a Pandora box in it. I did some recording, so let's talk about how did I do it. Alright, so let's do a quick teardown, and I just wanted to show you what you need to do if you want to do a modification. It doesn't even matter if you have this mini collectible, an arcade one-up or a full-size arcade machine. So okay, what I already mentioned that I wanted to remove the orange pie. I had a lot of problems with it and it was not a good experience. So I just realized why not put a Pandora box inside, because this thing is super convenient. Okay, what I'm going to do, remove some screws, remove some panels so I can reach everything. I don't need to do a full disassembly of the cabinet. So what we're going to do is remove the Raspberry Pi. So at first let's remove all the connectors so we can remove the orange pie, and yeah, basically let's see if we can find a way how to put the Pandora box inside. So I removed the piece of wood where the orange pie was on, simply because I needed to put the Pandora box on. Okay, here a quick view on the inside. As you can see over here, having the connectors over there. In the top, we're having the monitor. We don't need to do any modification. So the next thing we're going to do is remove the 4 screws so we can remove the control panel. I did notice there are especially very tiny screws, so I need to be careful that I'm not going to lose them. So as you can see over here, just basic connections, Sawa connections, and the tiny connections can be connected with my Pandora's box, the cable harness. But I need to figure out which control cables need to go through what hole, otherwise I will have a problem. I think it's a very nice way how he made this. Okay, so the next thing we're going to need to do is removing the PCB over here, because this thing is not needed and we're only going to need 12 volt. I need to figure out where the 12 volt is on the connector, because my coin mechanism and also my HDMI monitor needs 12 volt. So let's figure out where the 12 volt is, and let's see if we're going to need 12 volt. Yep, we're going to need 12 volt for the coin mechanism, because I didn't know for sure and just want to figure it out. So now I know, so we're ready to go, and let's remove all the parts. So what we're going to use inside is the Pandora box itself, and of course we're going to use the cable harness. We're going to do a modification simply because we're only using one player. So that's what we're going to do. It's just a basic Pandora box 12, just a weird version, but the thing supports a controller, so that's pretty cool. So we also have the controller support. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to remove is the plastic casing. We're not going to need it because I'm going to assemble the main board straight on the piece of wood where the orange pie was. So the thing that we're going to do is remove the screws over here so we can pull off the plastic case from the bottom. Okay, so let's first remove the elastic, and the thing that we're going to need to do is figure out which buttons go on what connection. We're going to test it with the EO tester. I will show it later on in the video what I mean with this. It's a very easy way to do if you don't have a manual or you don't read the manual like me. And let's figure out so we can basically cut it down and make it special for this main board. The main board goes on a piece of wood, but I've shown you before where the orange pie was. Okay, so I'm ready for it. We needed to desolder everything. We need to have basically one connection. So a plug-in and 12 volt, let's say a 4 amp power supply in the back, and we can use the on and off switch, and everything is soldered and everything is connected from the inside. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do before we go and do any soldering, we're going to check it out. We're going to check out the cable tree, which buttons we can cut off, and we know it's not going to need. It's going to be a little bit of fun messing around with it, but it's really fun to do. So let's grab ourselves a power supply and let's go. Okay, so let's take a closer look at the setting menu. Let's press the tiny black button so we can enter it. Okay, the next thing, everything has been connected, so we're going to figure out which button needs to go on what connector, and of course which cable goes through what hole, because otherwise we're having a problem. Okay, let's go to the EO tester over here. I really love this option. So what you can do basically is check out which button goes where. Okay, let's press a button. It's always more like figuring out which is the A button so we can enter it. But the next thing we're going to do is basically connect all the cables. And as you can see, I have reconfigured the joystick. All the cables are in the right position. Okay, let's take a close look at the cable caller. So basically what we're going to do, we're using the black and the colored cable. Let's touch it each other so you can see which button goes where. And that's the thing that you're going to do step by step and put it on the right button A, B, C and D. So everything is done. We can cut off all the cables that we're not going to need. Maybe it's a shame, but I'm going to use the other cables maybe for another project. Nevertheless, in this way, we don't have any problems and everything is connected like it should be. The only thing that we need to figure out is which of the buttons go where. And this is going to be a little bit of a tricky. I have enough space, so that is not going to be a big issue. The joystick goes to the left one and the other ones go to the right one. And I did some messing around with it, so nevertheless, everything is on the place. Everything has been connected, so we can put the joystick back into the place. As you can see, everything is connected like it should be. We don't use A and F because we don't have the buttons for it. So as you can see over here, the other ones, and this was a little bit tricky and I almost forgot. We're having two buttons, one for player one and the other one is for giving a credit. So with the other model, on the MVS model, we had three buttons, we only have two of them, so I'm going to need it. Simply because I want to connect the credit function. If you don't want the coin mechanism, you can always do it like this. So that's it. Everything is connected. The coin mechanism has some juice. It works like a charm. I tested it out, so I think it's pretty cool. Let's put in a coin, and as you can see, it accepts it now. So now we can use it like a real mini arcade machine. Alright, so the menu is ready to go. I reconfigured going to the exit with pressing start and coin button. I think it's pretty cool. As you can see that you need to put in a coin, otherwise you can't even play. Okay, so this is more like the fake Pandora's box, but I do like this baying board simply because it has all the functionalities. I can even say hide all games, so I can say show only the Neo Geo games if I want to. And of course you can play together with your friend. Here you need to put in the player 1 and which player 2 is, so the controller or the joystick. Nevertheless, there are quite some options for a fake board. So this is how I built the Pandora's box inside a mini arcade machine and remove the orange pie. Alright, so let's enter a coin. Oh, there's player 1. Brain fart! See, that's what I mean, but brain fart wicked mode. Okay, so let's enter a credit. Ooh, the audio is a little loud. Now we can navigate through the menu. Let's choose a game and let's play. And this is just a really awesome way to play these Neo Geo games. Oh, right up in there. You're in the face. So when you're pressing the player 1 and the C button, it will ask to pop up the menu. You can basically pause the game. Sadly, with this Pandora's box build, we can't use the quick load, quick save function. And also cool feature is, as you can see, I only have Neo Geo games on this device. Of course, you can use different games if you want to. When you go into the settings, you can reconfigure the full list. So you can just make this thing more like a Neo Geo cabinet that only includes Neo Geo game, or let's say a couple of games that only need 2 buttons. Because take in consideration, you can play Street Fighter on it, but you're missing out buttons, so that is not possible. Jump right in the freaking grenades! Metal Slug Noob! Oh yeah! I love the soundtrack. That I really like about the Pandora box, another great feature. Now we're going out of the game, as you can see it's needing a coin. So you can use the coin mechanism or you can just use a coin over here. But when you're just putting a coin in, then you can boot up the game. And what also really cool, when you're choosing a game and you're out of credits, it will just loop and stay in that game. You can always do a little bit of configuration that it goes back into the menu. But I think it's pretty cool this way. Get the days when you play a game and nothing comes out. I got a forward. Let's slice and dice. Two swords. Come on. 2 swords, even better. Whew. So when you take a close look at both of these systems, I think it's a pretty cool thing to have in your collection. I'm very pleased with it. And in combined with the Pandora's box, I think that this will give this thing completely new potential. The way how everything works, it works like a charm. I think it's just a great machine to have in your collection and to play some games. In general, I think they should make something like the original manufacturer. MVX is cool, I really love to review it here on the channel, but this is more like a full-size bar top. And this thing is just more like a collectible that you can still play on. Yeah, let me know in the comments what do you think of this. I want to thank you for watching. Consider subscribing, hit the little bell, become one of the Wicked family, and I will see you in the next video.